My name is Andries. I work for Emerson, which is a large multinational, 130,000 employees worldwide, $22 billion sales, and I'm in charge of the Scandinavian sector for the industrial automation department. And we've moved to Denmark 4 years ago, living 2 years in Odense and now 2 years in Copenhagen.
Okay, thank you. And could you maintain the same lifestyle here in Denmark, or was it a lot more costly than in Belgium?
Well, clearly the lifestyle was a lot more costly. So in the beginning we adapted a bit, but also due to the fact that salaries were higher, we were able to get into the Danish lifestyle quite easy. Now, some of the main differences that we had is that we traveled a bit more than we did before, and that was, of course, traveling is always costly. Certainly, going back and forth between Denmark and Belgium was in the beginning an extra point on our cost.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say in general we maintained our lifestyle. We recovered after a couple of months. We came to the same lifestyle, and I would say that even now our lifestyle our life is better than it was in Belgium.
So higher standards.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. How about the transport here in Denmark? Is getting around easier than in Belgium? How is the infrastructure?
Yeah.
The buses, the trains,
I
roads?
think the public transport is a lot better organized. We live now in the suburbs of Copenhagen, which is about 10 kilometers from the center, and we still have very regular connections with train and bus. The train to the center comes every 10 minutes, and during rush hours it's even every 3 or 4 minutes. And then when you go to the city center itself, there's metros every 2 minutes. So there's a real good infrastructure. And then concerning the roads, well, clearly the roads are better quality. I mean, that's not very difficult when you compare to Belgium, where it's probably one of the worst infrastructures in Europe. And we can notice it because when we take the car back from Denmark, we drive back to Belgium. As soon as you pass the border, all of a sudden the sound in the car gets a lot more intense. So you could clearly feel that the roads are a lot better here.
Okay. How do you live here? Clearly, you live now in a house. Did you rent it or?
Yeah.
Bought it?
No, we decided to rent for several reasons. First reason is that we didn't know the market, the housing market at all when we came, and so from outside looking into the market, it was insecure for us to buy. Moreover, when we moved here, the market actually suffered from a crisis. So we were lucky not to have bought because just when we arrived, the market went down. Now I can see that the market is recovering, but since our plan is not to stay forever here, we have not really looked at buying a house. Now the renting market is also a difficult market because it's not very usual that people rent houses, and it's typically the expat community who's renting houses.
Okay, right. Why did you decide to move abroad in the first place?
That's a good question. Well, I have to say that I have always, when I studied, I also did an Erasmus exchange program in Madrid, and ever since then I was bitten by traveling and working or living abroad, and it's always has been a dream to broaden the perspective than just the Belgian one, and that's also why I joined an international company to have that perspective. First, then to gain experience locally, and then to be able to expand that to a more international level.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And at your work, is there a different work ethic?
Yeah.
In workload, for example, do the people work different hours than in Belgium?
Yeah. Well, I think that the workload is not per se different, but the way that the days are organized is different. Meaning that people typically work from 8 to 4. When they come, they're there to work. I would say on average there is more focus, less breaks at the coffee machine, But there is also more flexibility than to pick up work again after hours when the kids go to bed. After 8, I see a lot of my colleagues are sending emails between 8 and 11 in the evening. So I would say that the working day is more flexible, it's more split, and that gives the possibility to have, in my opinion, a better work-life balance, where there is really time to have dinner with the family, to have dinner, to have contact with the kids, and then when they go to bed, to start working again. So I would say, in summary, I think the work pressure, the work load is not fundamentally different, but the way they structure the work is different.
Okay, so you would say that family here is also more important.
Sure, sure. And that's one of the reasons why I also believe that Danes are considered one of the most happy people in the world,
Sure.
is because of that, the fact that they have that closer contact, closer relationship to their families.
Okay, fine. How did you experience the local etiquette? Any remarkable or memorable mistakes you made with people?
Well, one of the things is that they don't shake hands, and they found that very, very strange to shake hands. So in the beginning, I started by shaking hands, and then I could feel on people I was working with that they didn't feel comfortable with that at all.
A bit awkward.
Yeah, it was really a bit awkward. They just say hi, and that's it. So that's one of the things that are different. And then it's not very common to invite people in your house either. So in that sense, from work it is for sure. That is for sure not done a lot. And then also in that sense, making friends is different. So I would say that there's a social etiquette which is a bit different than Belgium.
So you would more easily go to dinner than to invite people at home.
Precisely. Yeah, go to a restaurant. That would be easier than to invite people at your place.
Okay, fine. Then as a conclusion, can you give one piece of advice for anyone who wants to work abroad?
Sure. Well, I think if you have the idea, I would. My advice would be just don't doubt. Just go. Of all the people I have met so far, and that's one of the great things of living abroad, you meet a lot of people from different world areas with different point of views. I have not met any person who has moved abroad who has regretted that decision. I think it broadens your perspective. It makes you more valuable in your working place. So I would say my advice is go, don't doubt.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.